You can look at it from at sports, right? I can love my Dallas Cowboys,
Right.
but if Dak Prescott ain't producing, and there might be somebody else that can go out there and win us some games, I want that person.
I'm not sure that's the strongest argument that you can make on this particular day because you started off the show talking about how we gonna win the Super Bowl next year. So I'm just saying, Charlamagne. I don't know if this is not the time. This is not the subject to buffer your point.
Take Dak out of it. Then. I'm just saying if you got a stronger player,
right?
If there's a potential stronger player that can win, put them on.
Did you see a stronger player in the Democratic Party?
I didn't this time last year. When people were asking me, like, it felt like the Democrats had a very weak bench this time last year. But when I heard President Biden himself say,
very weak bench, because it sounded. I don't want anybody.
I know every time I say that,
they say you say bench. No,
bench,
you said bench. B-E-N-C-H. Well, go ahead. Right.
When I saw President Biden say he thinks that there's about 50 other Democrats who can beat Trump, I was like, well, who are they?
Who are they?
But then, I think Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania. I think.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nope.
I
think he wouldn't stand a chance. No.
I didn't believe in Governor Newsom at first, but I started to see him make some maneuvers that I was like, okay, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. I like him in terms of how he looks, how polished he is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like somebody that used to look at Mitt Romney when he was running against Barack Obama. And they were like, he really looks good in those blue suits. You know what I'm saying? He looks presidential. I looked at Gavin Newsom, particularly when he debated Ron DeSantis on Fox News. And I said, okay, he looks the part, but at the end of the day, if you look in California, you see the homelessness, you see the immigration issues, you see the economy, you see taxes, you see the price of gas and everything else. I think that's where Trump smokes him. That's my opinion.
Yeah, because he can always point to California.
That's right.
I think Westmore in the future.
In the future, yes.
If we have a democracy in the future,
he's got a chance.
I think Westmore, Maryland. But those are like my three right now. I like Tim Ryan too. Tim Ryan was I think he was a congressman in Ohio at one point. I like him a lot too. But the light doesn't never really get shined on him like that. But those three I think have some potential. And I still believe in the vice president.
I was going right there. That was my next question. I didn't hear you mention Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. You still believe in her?
I do, but we're in the bottom of the knife.
Yes.
We're in the bottom of the knife, and, she's been in that office for over 3 years now, and I just wish people could see the Kamala Harris that you get when you're just having a conversation with her.
That is exactly why I don't believe in her. Man. Exactly that. Man. Because I'm not questioning her credentials. Mm-hmm. I'm not questioning her ability to deliver and resonate in terms of a message. My problem is you waited too long not to. And so much time has passed by. And she's been taking a lot of hits. You VP, you can't do but so much. You got to flow along with what the administration asked you to do. So I blame them more than I blame her. But in the same breath, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, how could you let it get to this point?
But what's so interesting? There was a way for her to come in and really have like I don't want to say a heel turn, but like a turn in her, the character that we saw. Because you had Nikki Haley running around saying we should have chills up our spine for a Kamala Harris presidency. Like, you had other people in the Republican Party saying we should be scared to death of a Kamala Harris presidency. Well, damn, why scared to death? That's not even language we use for Donald Trump.
Are you ready for this? You know where I think she missed it?
Where?
Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida, the education system, they tried to explain that there were benefits to slavery. And they were challenging folks to debate them on this. And one of the challenges was to the vice president.
Yeah.
And she passed. If you can't debate, and listen, we gonna be neutral here. We're black men, we're proud black men, but we gonna be neutral here from the standpoint. We're gonna say it as plainly as I can without trying to be offensive. If you can't debate a middle-aged white man who is saying that there are benefits to slavery, as the vice president of the United States, as a former district attorney of San Francisco, first black woman, as the former first black state attorney general in the state of California, if you can't debate that subject with a presidential candidate at the time, to me, it was one of those things, it might be beneath you. You might be swinging down because you're there and he's not because he was aiming to go for the White House. But in the same breath, that issue should have been so piercing to you, that position that they took, that should have been a fight you were willing to embrace.
Absolutely, and you saw when that's what Gavin Newsom took up the fight, right? So
Yes.
him and Ron DeSantis actually were debating on Fox. I agree with you. Like, you got to go into that lion's den. Like, I know for a fact that a lot of Democrats, in her position, they feel like their words get misconstrued by Fox News. So they're kind of afraid to speak truth to power the way they want to, because they feel like Fox will take a soundbite and run it over and over for their audience. It can be so what if you're willing to go to Fox, because they can't misconstrue you.
That's right.
When you right there in
You're
their
everywhere.
face talking to them.
You're everywhere. They ain't the only network
That's right.
covering you.
That's right. President Obama used to go on O'Reilly Factor.
Right.
Like Jon Stewart, even though he wasn't an elected official, he
Right.
used to go on O'Reilly
Central.
Factor. You see Gavin Newsom, he goes on Fox now
With
and goes with Hannity, debates Ron DeSantis. I feel like the VP should have been doing that, especially when they were saying things like, we should be scared to death of a Kamala Harris presidency. You're only saying that because she's black. You're only saying that because she's black and she's a woman. Like, there's no other thing to fear, because if she got into the White House and she became president, her policies wouldn't be any different than any other Democrat. So what is there to fear other than that she's a black woman? She should have took that opening and ran with it.
What about the notion that as a state attorney general, as a prosecutor in the state of California, there were a whole bunch of black folks that she put in jail? What about people who make that argument against her?
Well,
I don't know the answer to that question. I'm genuinely asking.
Yeah, I don't fully know the answer to it at all, but I do know that, when you talk about, at the time, the way the drug laws were set up in that state, she probably was just following the letter of the law, in a lot of ways. But I mean, as the laws have changed in this country, I've definitely seen her positions on marijuana and things of that nature, pivot. I mean, right now, I think it would serve them so well for President Biden, who can actually do this with a stroke of a pen. He can literally free everybody who's in federal prison for a nonviolent marijuana offense. There's some people who feel like he should free everybody who's in federal prison for a nonviolent drug offense all across the board. I would like to see them do things like that. I would like to see her leading the charge on something like that, and then President Biden signing it. Can you imagine if we heard that announcement tomorrow? Everybody who's in federal prison for a nonviolent drug offense, Joe Biden's giving them a pardon.